Hello again, it's Adrian Duncan and I'm teaching the fourth module of this 6-module course, a crash course in astrology. And we've been looking at the 12 signs and we've looked at the planets, and we've seen how the planets are modulated by the influences of the sign. And then we've looked at the 12 houses, and the 12 houses is exactly how the energy of the planets is reflected in the world. So the houses represent the concrete circumstances we're born into, if you like. And that might be enough, except there's one missing ingredient before we can really interpret the horoscope, and that is the planetary aspects. Because the planetary aspects are the relationships between the planets in the horoscope, showing the energy flow. So although we might understand that, for example, Mars, which represents power and energy, sexuality and drive, if Mars was in, say, Gemini, which is an air sign and represents a sort of mental ideas, the idea realm, and that would show a very mentally energetic person. But if Mars was in Gemini in the 10th house, then it would really be something they use in their career. And so, this person would be a dynamic ideas person who was a kind of pioneer in their professional life. However, if this planet Mars was modulated or had a contact between with another planet, like for example Saturn, which represents some kinds of restriction, then the professional success that this person has would be affected by that. So what we're going to look at today is the main planetary aspects that we are using in astrology. And the first one is quite clear in a sense. It's the conjunction. And the conjunction is when two planets are roughly in the same place. So their energies merge. And the merging of that energy is something you kind of have to work out. How is that energy going to merge? For example, if you had the Sun and Mercury together, and they're never very far from each other because Mercury is quite close to the Sun. But let's say they were really close together in a conjunction, then the mental capacity, the way we think, would be merged with the way we are, our sense of identity. And the more close the Sun and Mercury are, the more we kind of rationalize and use mental. We would be less objective and more kind of mentally subjective. Or if Venus was very close to Mars, it would be profoundly affected by the sign and house they're in, but it would be the merging of masculine Mars and feminine energy. So it's a merging of influence. Whether they're comfortable merging or not is another question. And another thing is that a conjunction is part of a cycle. It's the beginning of a cycle. It shows often, in a sense, something that's you're learning from the beginning. It's very, very powerful. The conjunction is the most powerful aspect you can have, and we can see, for example, with Bill Clinton here, that you can see that Mars, Neptune, and Venus, they're all roughly in the same place. And so they're all in a sort of grand conjunction of 3 planets. And you can also see that Saturn, Mercury, and Pluto, they're also very close to each other, and they're in a conjunction. So how do you tell whether the planets are close enough to each other to be like considered an aspect? And you do that by considering the orb. And the orb is the difference in the degrees between the planets. And if it's too large an area, then they would not be in conjunction. So looking at Bill Clinton's horoscope, for example, you can see that the Sun is quite a long way from Pluto here. and that actually wouldn't be considered a conjunction. It's just too far away. And the orb with a conjunction is considered to be about 12 degrees. In other words, if there was 1 degree difference, it would be very powerful. And if there's 12 degrees between the two planets involved in the conjunction, well then, it's starting to become background noise. You don't have to say it's 12, you could say it's 14 if you like, but the further these planets get away from each other, the less important it is. And the closer they get, the more important there is. So generally people would take 12 degrees, some people might just take 10 degrees or even 8 degrees for an orb. It's just a question of opinion in a sense. So there we have the conjunction. The most powerful aspect is the merging of the energies of two planets, which form a very, very powerful component in a particular sign and in a particular house. And we look at how this works a little bit later on.